education and the theme of making. And the first of those is going to be by what I've heard this week is the new National Teacher of the Year winner from the TES Award. Fantastic. Well done, Caroline. So Caroline Keep, who is going to talk about maker education, and in just 5 minutes.
Hi, welcome to Makefest. Hello everybody, nice to see you all. Wow, this is really high up. I just wanted to have a quick chat about maker education today. Just because, realistically, one of the reasons that Makefest got started 4 years ago is because I wanted to showcase making to my students and couldn't. So we wanted to put a festival together that basically would demonstrate making, and this slide's going really fast. This has then led to a makerspace in my school because I needed it to be more long-term. I needed them to experience making in a more concise way across a long amount of time. So I set up a makerspace. It's the first makerspace in a school in the country. And we recycle, we repurpose, we reuse, and we build. And it's led to the digital creative pathway that my school now runs. I'm quite fortunate that I had the maker community to support me with that because we had a Makefest for it. So plenty of people who were involved in our organising team, Chelsea, Mark, a whole bunch of us, all of awesome funded us, Ignited supported us to set that up. This is our makerspace. It was organised from a disused room. It's now an entire block. So it was literally just get it done. And I basically went in and went, right, I'm putting a makerspace in school. And my head went, okay. And I went, I'll come and show you around one. So my advice to future people is, first off, take your head teacher to a school, to another makerspace. Show them what it looks like. These are some of the projects. These are some of our kids doing a robotics club. And we literally just took them in and said, this is what we want. That's what I want. And then give me a room and I'll do it. One of the tips I can say is when you do look for kits, when you're looking for creating a whole school digital pathway, these are some of the things that we've specified would be key to learn. So Unity developer, we're working with Unity now to do that, and we do web apps, we do Arduino, we do Raspberry Pi, we do laser cutting, 3D printing with Create Education, Autodesk, so we do all kinds now. And how you develop that as you go forward is to specify the skills that you need. Go to your communities, ask people to be able to sponsor you, recycle materials from your local zones. So some of our makerspaces that were local with us, Liverpool is our home makerspace. And Make in Liverpool as well is one of the makerspaces we took our head to as well, to say this is what we want to do. So if you want to do a makerspace in your school, do go visit one. This sparked an idea for drama over doing a tessellating stage that we'd seen from our idea for rhubarb. Upstairs you can find my school makerspace today. They're demonstrating with some of our kids the giant cell for biology that they built out of LEDs. It's based on Blood Pounder's Pound Shop Hack. It's a really, really good project. And they learn all kinds of things as they go through, so think about everything else. If you find that you're struggling or you want to make a makerspace in a school and you find you're not getting the kind of support that you think you get, or your teachers are not quite getting it, okay, start with something simplistic. Okay, it's very daunting at first to start with something quite advanced. These are some of our kids that were at Create Education. The 3D printer upstairs they built themselves. But the average teacher doesn't want to go, yeah, we'll do a full-blown 3D printer or even a Raspberry Pi, build it straight off. What you want to do is say, right, here's a very simplistic build, just come in and build that. I'm very proud of Spark being the first, but I'm more proud of the fact that it's led to many, many teachers now across the country saying, we want to open a makerspace. So I think I've got about 35 now, all proposing their own makerspaces, so I encourage everybody to do it. And our next talk is one of them. So I'm very pleased to see somebody else following the same trend. Thank you ever so much. I've just had this moment when I've forgotten my last slide, which actually is pretty important. If you do want to do that and you're struggling, we're offering Make a Noise, which is a free CPD event for teachers and makers, anybody who wants to do hands-on stuff. It's a very chilled event, so not as massive as Makefest feels. It's on the 7th of July, you can come, we're going to be running next year as well. So if you want, go check out Make a Noise 18 on Twitter, you'll find the ticket link. Thanks.
Thanks, Caroline. Next up at the Cozy Conference at Make Festival, we've got a 5-minute Ignite talk from Pat Link, who is a teacher at Neston High School, talking about from STEM to STEAM. For those of you who've been to the normal Ignite in Leith, I'm not as funny and entertaining as Adrian here, but you know, we try to.
You get a stage figure though, which is what everybody really wants.
Yeah, he's enjoying being in the audience. I also don't have down to play funny music that's relevant to each talk, which makes it much harder. I highly recommend, if you don't go to the Ignite talks, which every 3 months upstairs in Leith, they're really good, and I recommend going to them.
Okay, hi, I'm Pat Link. I'll probably put in first one of my slides. These are my personal views, not my employer's views. I will say that. That's why neutral close today, to make sure that's even my own views. Because I've been in now in education for the last 10 years now, and I've seen a lot of changes where it's gone from STEM to STEAM. Now there's a new thing come out called STEM Plus, because they're trying to look at squeeze as many things they can into STEM now. It's not even STEM anymore, it's STEM Art, STEM Plus, and everything like that. We've got people like Will I Am came on board and said, look, I'm a creative innovator, I'll do that sort of stuff. So again, then it was like, again, okay, how do we get into this? Oh, it costs money, and it's like that stepping stone again, you got into that. Whereas, like, you know, how do we fit into it? Then Tim Peake, we had great someone from the UK, we're like, way, went to space, and then again, the big thing came, well, we can do this in schools. Well, how can we do this in schools? And not just trying to do something in schools. Well, how does it fit into our curriculum? How do we get this into schools? It was like that difficult thing. And then I said, look, guys, I'm a cabinet maker. I see myself not as a cabinet maker, not as a teacher, I'm a maker. That's what I see myself as. As for my students, I make things because I use my mind, I use my creativity, I use my maths background, my physics background, everything I've got, and make stuff. Now I speak Darth Vader because I have to be that green Darth Vader sort of voice. In the last 10 years of education, we had 4 education ministers who every 2 years change what we have to do. They make a change to it. They say, we need something new now. And what does it all cost? It costs money. So certain subjects, you're by the wayside. And why you're by the wayside? Because you need resources. So you have to then, like mentioned before, recycle things, come up with ideas how you plan something into it to get something for kids to make. But then again, they have to sit down, they have to do these exams. They have an exam, they have a mock, they have an exam, they have a mock, they have an exam, have a mock. When do they get that point to actually be creative? When they get that time to fail? Because we are pushing them. And how we are pushing them, we're pushing them with league tables. Because we all have to be on a league table somewhere. We have to be up here, we can't be down here. Because we're down here, we're failing. Are we really failing? No, we're not failing. We're still, as educators, giving kids education. But sometimes, some don't want it the way they see it. So we have league tables, but there's loads of money. They do well on Progress Aid, but I teach on one side, we do well on Progress Aid, and we're still in the area where there's not much money. And it doesn't matter, and you see there's certain countries that believe in this, and they do. My background, I'm from Germany, and from small on, I was encouraged to play with Lego cardboard. There wasn't that balance between money and education. It was one of them, go and enjoy yourself, do what you want to do, and you'll be good at it. You can fail along the way, because I did repeat a year at school because I failed in Germany. We used to sit in classrooms like these. That's why I say, well, not my view, not my employers, my view. I have 35 year 9s. How can I teach 35 year 9s with 16 vices? Not possible. This space is the ideal space where they're free out, they can actually do something, explore, make something, and enjoy making something, not having to think about when it comes up on the next thing what they have to think about. At the end of all this making, you got this again, you're sitting down writing. My students were more stressed about this than they were if you come onto the first floor and see their walking robots they had to make from scratch with no help. They enjoyed that more than sitting there. Because that's what we need to nurture this from young age on. Let's make something. Like Caroline said before, get makerspace in school. When I see Caroline do it, I thought I want to do exactly the same. Get kids making, doing stuff, actually experimenting where they're not getting told that's that great for it. Because we've all made these, and we all love making these, and they still love them. It doesn't matter. Of 11, 18-year-olds, me at 46, I still love doing this. I love my grandkids come around, let's make something. I love that sort of thing. So we need to get this into school where you actually experiment, do things hands-on, doing your part, hands-on experimenting, hands-on making it work and making it fail. And keep it very simple and just call it by the thing that we started once out, calling it STEM. Just call it that. Put the arts into it because we have to be creative. If we're not, I'm not saying that maths and physics is not creative because I studied that at school, but then you need that creative flair to release some of those things that you have in there. We can't just try always to shoehorn everything into one to get to that top pyramid of that thing. You can't shoehorn all those things in to get that. We still have to give that freedom for people to be, as we are on our last slide now when it comes up. I wait for the second to tick over. There we go. These kids who have that imagination, I want to make something, I want to go to space. Like Tim P, I wanted to go to space once and make something from cardboard. You have to have that dream. And as my year 13 said to me, as a quick thing, as a good luck message, they went, "Sir, we found Jurgen Klopp. You have got that same belief." So they morphed me into a Jurgen Klopp. I've got the helping syndrome. I just like to help people. So come and see me upstairs, please. Thank you. I'll come and listen to my second talk.
Yeah, we've got at noon, we've got pictures for the Awesome Foundation, which is every month in Liverpool, £500 is given away to the most awesome project that asks for it. Pat is one of the finalists for that, so we can see you're going to pitch some money to do something new at noon, so come back then. So this is the Cozy Conference at Makefest, the first ever one, and we're doing 5-minute Ignite talks, and the next one is from Tanya Fish, who's talking about Flux, which is about changing electronics education. And after we've had the 3 talks, we're going to get the 3 speakers back again to have a panel session where you can ask questions about education. So get thinking of questions you want to ask, please.
Can you hear me? Is that loud enough? Great. I also have teacher voice as a backup, but we can try. Okay, do I start now? Oh, I've started. Right, 5 minutes of Flux. So I've got 5 minutes to tell you about what I mean by Flux. Flux, as well as electronics, it also means change, and I think we need to make a big change in electronics education that we have now. To most kids, electronics is like magic. They can't really see it working, but it's just this wizardry that happens in the background. They know that it works, they know it's impressive, but they don't know how it works. And we need to get that into people's heads. Go on, change. Oh, yes. So, like I said, magic, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, which a very, very wise man once said. So, how do we get this feeling of, wow, that's magic, out of electronics education without kind of resorting to any kind of trickery on our part? We don't have to, because kids are already obsessed with electronics. You give my small child an iPad and you don't see him for the rest of the day. It's all around us. Kids have electronics, they naturally gravitate towards it, they like to see how it's working. You put things in your pockets when you're stood in queues and your child is bored, you give to them because it's electronics and they're interested in it. There's no need to actually get them interested. What we need to do is change the way that we explain electronics. Because the way that we explain electronics is boring. The way that you explain electronics is dry, and it's not real. It's kind of imaginary. It's related to graphs and tick boxes and strange diagrams that don't look like the thing that we're actually doing. The one time we give them electronics to touch, we electrocute them. It's not really fair. So we give kids a Van de Graaff generator, tell them to touch it, they're like, oh, I don't really like electricity hurts. So they try and avoid it. So not sure. They become not sure, like Fry, not sure about electronics, and they're not sure whether they should touch it or not. They don't know what a circuit's going to do, but the only thing that they know is electricity might hurt them, so they don't touch it. We need to get over that. By the way, one of these is not a steak bake. This is like finding a good electronics teacher. One of these is not a steak bake. Which one?
Right, cheese and onion.
Yes, well done. Cheese and onion. So finding the electronics teacher is the tricky part, because lots of DT teachers, who are the ones it falls upon to teach electronics in most schools, find it difficult. This is from STEM Learning. They're the biggest UK provider of training and development for teachers. They say that on their front page. We teach electronics with metaphors. Kids can explain to you what the buckets are doing, but is that something to do with the current, or the amps, or the thing that I haven't learned the word for yet? Because words are also a problem. We use ginormously difficult words. I did an experiment on my Twitter where I asked for some people to try and explain how that is working using only Upgoer 5 language. Now, if you don't know about Upgoer 5 language, there's a brilliant webcomic called XKCD. They explained the Saturn V rocket, which is the Upgoer 5, using only the 1,000 most common words in the English language, which to you is 1,000, but 1,000 isn't one of those words, so we can't use it. So using only the most common words, try and explain the electronics concept. If you try and explain it like this one, the round box wants to push all the power pieces to one side. The clear box has legs that the power pieces can move through. As the power pieces move through the clear box, they have to fit through doors that are too small, so they get smaller by throwing pieces of light. Boom. Okay, another good way to describe it is with pictures. If you can't see the electricity, draw the electricity. Draw it in, show where it is, show fields. Kids like fields, but they don't like fields as drawn on exam papers because they only ever have to draw one and it's very dull. You can explain things even without words. If you get rid of all the words of this picture, you can see where the electricity is. You can see that if you charge up your capacitor connected to a touchpad, it spreads out. If you charge it to a capacitor and a person is touching the touchpad, it spreads out even more. So, the key is, give them things to play with. Things to play with, and tinkering is the way that people learn. Don't be afraid of things. Don't be afraid of messing it up. So if you give them the things, they will experiment. They will ask questions, and as they ask questions, they learn. And if you teach them the dangerous things as well, so that they've got the things, the tools, the skills that they need, this is why makerspaces are so important in schools, then they will take that skill, they will apply it to the knowledge that they've already had, and they will take it home. And this is my small person here making this. My small person was allowed dangerous tools. He was allowed the dangerous tools and the power of his grandpa, and they, between them, well, mostly, like here, made this. So thanks for listening, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, Tannerine, I'm going to be starting up a YouTube channel soon, and I'll link that on my thing, and also I've ventured into Instagram, but nobody ever goes there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. So we're just doing a little bit of furniture rearrangement for the panel session, and if we may get back Caroline, Pat and Tanya, and I'd like you to all think of questions that you want to ask them. Has anyone got any questions? Put your hand up if you've got questions. Or provocative things that will encourage them to talk about something. Oh, fantastic.
Hello, I'm Val. I'm from Liverpool John Moores University in the library, and I think what you're all doing is really exciting, and I'm wondering if we might be a little bit behind now what's happening in schools, and how could we help our students to follow on from what they're getting in schools, and maybe some of them who will miss out on that, how can we help them catch up?
You probably are behind, probably because about 6 years ago, maybe, John Moores actually set up the first Makerspace with Dr. Mark Fulton in partnership, one of the co-founders of it called Makefest, and they started to embed it into the curriculum. The problem is that they've had universities are such big institutions that the inertia is quite tough in them. They have this big plan to put in, and they will soon be putting in a very big makerspace, but obviously that takes a lot of research and development to do it for a whole university. a friend of mine setting up one in Kent, and it's an £11 million project. So it is quite intensive for a university to do that, but there are plenty, Salford, Manchester, all have maker spaces, pretty much most of the universities do now, so they're not that far behind. I think the problem is with universities is that implementing a makerspace into a module on a scale that you can actually embed it in any considerable way is very difficult for that many students, because you have hundreds of thousands of students. I was quite fortunate after doing my research with JMU that I went into schools, and schools, it's much smaller, so you still have that massive impact, but you don't have that kind of restrictions of numbers. However, we can, and what we can do, which is crucially important, is feed students to you that are at that level already, so they can make your life at a university level much easier. We need to increase the quality of our students coming to universities, increase their capacity for creative thinking, for innovation, so that they come to university prepared for that. Pat, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was just going to add the point to it. You have to actually be school ready for when they come to it, because I found students when I used to work at a college who picked up and they were like, I want to go on to do this. Have you tried that first? They went, no. I said, because they're scared of making that mistake, and obviously the higher it goes, the older you become, the less you want to make that mistake. It's like, I still, after 23 years, make mistakes speaking English, because I'm not English. But I said to students, I don't care about it, because not everyone's got the attitude not to care to make mistakes, especially students, because they will be graded by those, and those grades will be hard carrying for them. So that's a hard thing. We have to break that barrier.
No, because I'm going to a big education rant. Okay. I'm not going to go into a big education rant, but a little bit. Yeah. Basically, I would take out all exams, because that's how we're going to get our best people. Is stop examining them, because we're forcing them all to do the same thing. And we need them to do their own thing, and that's why we end up with specialists in different areas who are very good at what they do, because they haven't had to do other things and be forced through the kind of mill thing. Yeah,
there is a movement to that. A lot of the US universities do actually take maker projects instead of grades. So there are certain places in the world now that are moving to a project-led system. And we're getting rid of projects at the moment, but I don't suspect that will last. We have this massive digital skills gap that everybody's learning. There is going to have to be capacity for every school to be able to have that system, to have students be able to be employed at the end of it and produce students that are adequate for university degrees.
Thank you. I've got a question over here.
Can I just step forward? Tanya, I work in a university, and there's no way they're ever going to scrap exams, and we found things taking a nosedive in terms of the creativity, which is why we're going back into schools, because until the national curriculum changes and they're not taught to test, then we're going to have that follow through into the first year. I'm all with you on scrapping exams. It's a memory test, nothing more, but the inertia is really before they get to uni. When I get them, it's almost too late, and we need to hit them before then.
There is probably something what governments come up with in education. They have this NEA, non-examinable ones. I've just taught it for the first year. It's fantastic product design. Practical exam, great outcomes. Only problem, doesn't fall to progress aids. You're not on the league table, and that's what it is. And you have to, so we're looking at a new engineering one now that falls into this progress aids. But the problem is, engineering, 5%. Rest of it, maths and physics. So students will be sitting in a workshop with calculators, going on these boring graphs to make sure you can get that graph right for the exam. But now I've devised a way we can do this graph practically before we actually have to write it. But I'm going to have to be sort of go out there on my own to try this.
I'm going to have this moment where I'm going to go, you know what, I've got an answer for that. So quite often you get the justification for, progress A. We all get that. Progress A, which in non-teaching language is what we are judged on, or what grade it is that you can get. Okay, so creative learning in a makerspace, hands-on learning, encourages all of the resilience, the creativity, the skills that students need for creative problem solving that have been put into the GCSE. So it encourages the skills that we want our students to have that will enable them to get good progress in. It's the soft skills around those GCSE grades. Now if you improve the soft skills around GCSE grades, you improve progress in. So if you improve resilience, you've marked, measured and analysed, you improve progress in. So there is a reason for us to do this in schools. Other than it being creative and fun and it gives us digital, it does improve learning. It improves learning capacity, it improves the ability to retain information. If you want to teach, and we've got a perfect example upstairs, if you want to teach cells, or if you want to teach something on an exam that's being tested, there's a great one you can all see upstairs at the moment. It's a cell project for biology, marked on the exam, marked with the exam papers. They did it in a hands-on way and measurably were performed better than the students who'd had it for 7 lessons. I would rather spend 4 lessons doing it hands-on and remembering it than 20 lessons going over it. So if you want to do it where you're thinking this is not worthy, or you're thinking, well, it's not for me, well, actually, do you want to teach it well and have your kids remember it once? Or do you want to teach it over and over and over again because it's not worth them remembering? And that's, if it's a memory test, then I know which one I've got along with, which is why my schools embrace it. This is why it's so important.
I was just agreeing with everything.
We've got time for one more question. If anyone's got something else to ask. You've got 3 fantastic maker educators here. Rare opportunity. You can have a second question. Val.
It's an idea more than a question, really. I think I can't change the education system, and I think the structural problems in the universities are quite hard. But one idea I had was to start doing some activities that are based on some of the learning techniques that you are showing, and have a digital badge that's authenticated by the university, so that the students, as well as having their curriculum and their degree certificate, they could have some badges about skills which would show. Do you think that would be a way of getting around it?
I think quite often when you're applying for jobs, when straight out of university, it's all very well having the academic qualifications on paper, but they always ask in the covering letter, give me an example of this, give me an example of when you were resilient, give me an example of when you were creative, give me an example when you solved problems. All of the things that you do as a maker are answering all those questions. It's giving them plenty of examples and plenty of real life experience, and it's making them, a more employable person. So, by all means, badges based around the kind of skills that we were talking about is going to be a vast benefit to them, and really make them stand out as all-rounders rather than tick boxes.
I've done with year 11s, the engineers who just left, and we made a making project alongside of it. And all of them used to interview when they went. I said it falls so easy in interview and go, oh, just a moment, I made this, and they said that I made this had so much more in it. I said they come with a huge portfolio or a huge list of I can do this. They won't look so closely at, oh, you didn't do so well in maths, you didn't do so well in English or history, but I can make this what you're looking for, to show that off.
Ladies and gentlemen, Delhi Marche's 3rd annual Makefest barbecue is now open.
The Makefest barbecue is open.
Burgers and veggie burgers are now being served. Thank you.
Sorry, I'll answer that now after the Makefest barbecue open, but I'll look forward to going to it. But I agree totally with Pat. You've got this moment, I would tell you. My students, I have several nuclear engineers now, and female nuclear engineers now, for the simple reason they took the projects to interview. So it is quite beneficial to have a project for interview, but I think the landscape of education is changing. I think there's more call now, not just for academic achievement that's demonstrable by grades or by any kind of measure on exams for universities as well as for schools. I think there's calls now as well for having these soft skills or having creative skills, digital skills and demonstrable skills for that as well. The job market is tough and you can be a great A-grade student, but if you're an A-grade student with a project or a non-grade student nowadays, then that will stand you apart. So I think there's a call for now students really to have both, and there is absolutely, in my opinion, there is room for both. Okay, so not only having a measurable sort of progress for Progress 8, but also a creative digital pathway or some kind of creative learning alongside it.
Thank you, everyone. Give a round of applause for Tanya, Pat, and Caroline. Really interesting insights into mentoring education. We've got lots more of this for you today. At noon, in about 20 minutes' time, there's awesome Liverpool pictures where there are 3 finalists, one of whom is Pat, pitching to win £500 to get their project going from the Awesome Liverpool, which do that every month. And then we've got sessions here out the afternoon, 1 p.m. on diversity, 2 p.m. on manufacturing, 3 p.m. on community building, and at 4 p.m. on space, inner and outer space. I've got a few copies of this. If you want a copy of the agenda, come and grab one off me now, or you can take a photo.